The next strategy is scouting services. I'm going to explain what these services are and that they're very important for coaches. Every school I've worked for, every team I've worked for, like every sport I've worked for, they've used these scouting services. They're trusted services. And you have to understand that even if there is not a coach, with a logo on their polo, so you know where they're from, that doesn't mean that there's not people watching. There's always people watching, and coaches are getting recommendations and information from everywhere. But these trusted services, coaches and universities pay for these reports, and these people locally will send reports, from Florida, from the Midwest, from California, from the Northeast, and they will detail, top players in the area. They will give height, weight, other measurables. They will give contact information and usually a little blurb about the player, like what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are. And some scouting services actually project where the player, should be recruited, whether it's Division II, Division III, Division I, NAIA. So just understand that there's always people watching and there's always opportunity. Another aspect of these scouting services are top 100 lists. There's a lot of internet sites that put out, they rank players the top 100, top 25, top, juniors in the state. And a lot of times I would sit with coaches in meetings and we would go through these lists and make sure we had some of these players on our list if there was anybody new that we could add to the database. But there was also times when, coaches were not impressed. They'd seen this player already, they're not competitive, they're smaller than the size listed, they don't have the grades. So understand that these lists are a little bit of a gift and a curse, because some players, it's a validation to them, but it's also, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself, because these lists really don't mean much to coaches. They do their own evaluations, and this is just a starting point, but this is one way that coaches gather information.